Hello and welcome back to the second episode of my knitting podcast. I'm Lisa from LiseLight. I'm a Danish knitter based in Copenhagen, and the footage you saw in the beginning is what I see every day when I go to my office, which is in the center of Copenhagen. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a taste of that. If you're interested in seeing more of Copenhagen, I could try to do vlog style walk with me, a little trip to maybe some of the yarn stores based in Copenhagen. I know a lot of you might be interested in that if you're not based close to here. So I'll be happy to do that, but let me know. Probably takes a little bit of courage on my part to start filming out and about, but we'll get to that when we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So thank you so much for all your kind comments on my first video. I'm so happy about that. I wasn't actually planning on doing a video before Christmas, but I kind of wanted to share my, I would call it race against the clock, last minute knitting, because I have at the moment, one gift left that I'm knitting on. It's Friday when I do the recording, Friday evening, and I need to be done with this hat. Hopefully it's a hat, and I'll show you in a minute. I'm hoping to get it done by tonight, actually. I think it's possible because I want to block it and make it dry enough to be able to wrap it, and then that's actually one that I'm gifting Sunday evening and not at Christmas Eve, which is Tuesday. So in Denmark, we celebrate Christmas in the evening. So it's a little tight. It's not the end of the world if I don't make it, but I kind of want it because I never want knitting to be stressful, and I don't feel like it is. But I kind of felt like it's going pretty well. So let's see. But I'll share that with you in a minute. First of all, I want to share with you first what I'm wearing today. This is Olive's vest. I think in Denmark we would call it a vest. Also, some people call it a slipover or a pullover, but it's a sweater without sleeves. Top of some kind, and it's knit in the same type of wool that I showed you last time. It's this, and somebody told me to hold it up a little longer so you can actually see the name. It's the company called Vedils. I just checked their website. I don't think at the moment that they ship other places in Denmark. That being said, I don't see why you couldn't maybe contact them if you're interested in their yarns, to see if they would make an exception. I really love this. This is their they don't say the color, but there are two numbers on the label. One is 3240 and the other number is 470, and one of them I believe is a color, I would think. It's a little annoying, I feel like, when yarn companies don't write a real name, because all these numbers, it gets confusing. I understand the dye lot and all this stuff, but at least the color would be kind of nice. But it's this bluish. There is a little bit of variegation going on. It's definitely has more colors in it, and it's very soft. It's actually softer than the other yarns I've used from this company, and I really, really love it. And it's 100-gram skeins, so there's a lot of yarn in it. Plus, also one skein of 300 or 100 grams is 350 meters. So it goes a long way, and yeah. So I think I only used. Did I only use one skein? I feel like maybe I started on the second one, but I got a lot done just for this this particular vest. It's Olive's vest from Knitting from Olive from the book, but I know that you can also buy the pattern on their website. It's beautifully made. I feel like with like a shoulder construction. you have a little bit of a German short row in the back and so forth. I'll talk a little more about the pattern some other time, but it's uh, to down to here, relatively short, simple, just a really basic pattern. I love it so much. It looks finished and nice. I've done another one in a different color. The only variation on this one from the pattern is that you're supposed to, it's 2x2 rib, and you're supposed to turn this under to make it double. But my youngest daughter wanted to use it too, and she protested immensely from me doing that. So so I didn't. I left it as it is, which is also nice. I don't think it's a big difference, but I kind of like to feel like the collar is folded over, so I felt like the consistency of it I kind of like. But anyways, we compromised, and that's fine. So anyway, so that's what I'm wearing today. I'm also using more of this yarn for my work in progress. I'll show you in a minute. What I wanted to show you was just the gifts that I have already finished. I shared, I think they were in progress last time. This one I showed you last time, the Harris hood. Um, and it's also the yarn from the same Vedil's company. I want to show you a little longer this time. It's called Soft Wool. And what's a little bit funny with this is I realized looking on their website, because I wanted to see if they had other colors. Um, and it doesn't seem like you can buy it by itself. I got it as part of you could say a bonus from buying a bunch of other stuff. This was gifted as a bonus when, you know, it was an offer around Black Friday, I think. And you got quite a few skeins and a pattern for a sweater. And this is a nice enough sweater, but it wasn't really anything I wanted to do. So that's why I decided to do gift knitting for my very dear friend instead. So um, the Harris hood was done last time, but I hadn't blocked it, and I have now. And actually, the tragic story is last time I showed you my own version of the Harris hood that I knit in Sandnes yarn. And it's I actually lost it from the last video and to now. It was actually the beginning of this week. I went to Jutland on a work trip. I teach online marketing a couple of times a month in Jutland. So I took the train. I brought my Harris hood, and I actually used it a couple of days because it was really, of course, it's not rainproof or anything like that, but it's actually brilliant to just pull up over your head when it's raining a little bit outside, so you don't get completely drenched and your hair doesn't stick out in all directions. So it was actually pretty good for that. So I managed to use it for 2 days, bring it on the train, going back home, and I had it in my hand when I was about to leave the train. And when I went down to get into the metro after leaving the train, I didn't have it. I have no idea what happened. I must have just let go of it, and so it probably fell to the floor. I didn't felt like I checked in the train before I left, but apparently I didn't. So here's me hoping somebody found it and didn't toss it, but actually realized that it's a nice piece of garment. So maybe it's the universe telling me, because I was complaining a little bit that this part, like the lowest part of the hood, was a little too short on my version, so I made it longer on this one, and I think this is actually pretty perfect. And I think actually also the drape of this I kind of like more than on my own. So maybe maybe this was the universe's way of telling me that you need to make a new one. So that's a little sad, but then again, stuff like that happens, and I don't want to start a whole big thing trying to get it back. So that's a little unfortunate. So anyways, that's a Harris hood. And then the two other items I did, I think last time mistakenly I called these the everyday socks. There's so many different sock patterns. That's actually incorrect. The right name of them, I'll just make sure that I say it right this time. They're called the Slow Morning Socks by Camille Hink. I think she's Danish. Um, And these are just so nice. I could have done the Sunday socks by Petite Knit. I've done those for my my one of the other daughter. I have three daughters, and those are great. But this the needle size and the yarn was a little off to exactly fit that pattern. So I opted for these guys, and in fact, I've redone the first one, the top of the first one, three three times, I think, because I started out following the pattern, which was 48 stitches. That was way too big, and then I went down to 40 stitches. That was way too small, and then I went back again and did 44 stitches, and then ended up with I think a really nice warm, you know, lounging around in your house type socks. I think they're really warm and sturdy and nice. So I'm pretty happy with that. But that took a little bit of trial and error to get that right. So that's also done. And then these, I think I showed you the first one the last time, halfway done, and now I have a pair. I didn't procrastinate too long to make both of them, and I think, to be honest, I think one of these, it took me an evening. It's one of the fastest things I've ever knit, I think, which is surprising to me, even because it's got ribbing down here at the cuff, and then it's got I did my own pattern because I explained last time there were different suggestions. It's two patterns I've sort of combined. So I did cabling, one going one way, one going the other way, and just simple pattern, and then stockinette in the other end. And then I also extended the thumb because I felt like it was too small. So if I put it on, you can see I've got pretty long fingers, and I think I also said my I'm pretty sure my friend has, they're a little shorter than mine, which is perfect because the idea is that you can use it like this, where it's folded down, but you can also fold up, and that's a little short to me, but you can fold this up, which I really like the look of that, and then you have a little more wiggle room if you need to use your hands, but you still have your thumb covered up pretty nicely, and then when it's really cold you can fold them over. And also, again, I think on top of a pair of black leather gloves, this would look so chic. So I'm really happy with sorry, with these, hoping to make more in different yarn, and maybe even the same yarn, because I still have quite a few skeins left of this. I thought I would make a dent in it with these three projects, but I still have a lot left over. So who knows, maybe more socks, maybe more gloves, but these are actually, I'm pretty happy with them. So I feel like they're really, really nice. And then I also want to share with you yet another hood. It looks a lot like the Harris hood, but this one is called October Hede, October Hood, by Stina Fredriksson. I'm, I think that I did a pattern in Norwegian, but I think there was, I think she has a pattern in English as well, but Norwegian and Danish, it's definitely not the same, but it's fairly close. So I didn't have any trouble figuring this out. So the construction is a bit of the same. You start out with this like mid piece on top, and then you pick up stitches and you do increases and stuff like that. The only difference is on the Harris hood, you do increases back here to shape it, so it follows your head shape a little more, so it goes in on the back, and then you do the decreases, of course, and then increases here to shape it a little more. Whereas this is very much just straight down, and then of course the increases to shape around when you pick up. So you knit it flat, and then you pick up a little more stitches here, and then do knitting in the round. And I used Drops Snow, I think it's called, for this one, because my daughter, youngest daughter, wanted. She was a little bit interested in the hood, but she wanted one that was warmer. She felt like the one I had was not that warm, And I think this is definitely also lighter. It's got more drape and stuff, where this is thick. This was meant to be done with a drawstring on the original pattern. You actually do a little bit of a buttonhole down here, and then you pull a string through. It's double knit. It's constructed the same way as the other one. But I didn't quite like the look of that, so I did it without it. I can always add it if my daughter wants it, but I kind of feel like that was just an added piece of material that you're not really going to use. So I opted to not do that. So yeah, I think she's going to be pretty happy. It's a blue that goes. I matched it up with a puffer coat she has that she uses on an everyday basis, which is not the exact same color, but it matches perfectly, because there are some blues that don't go together, I feel like, but this one is pretty perfect. I had a skein left over, and then I just bought two more skeins, so it wasn't like a really expensive project. So that's that. And then the my work in progress, my knitting against the clock. I'm also being tangled up here. Is the Musselburgh hat, which I feel like a lot of people have knit already. It doesn't look like much when you hold it up like this. I'm probably I'm more than halfway done. I measured it, and I think I need to knit around 16 centimeters more in order to before I start the increases. And once I do the increases, it'll be faster and faster. So yeah, the races, whether I will be able to do this tonight, this evening. It's the day off from now on. I don't have any work till after Christmas, so I should be able to get a lot of knitting done, not worrying about getting up early. But yeah, we'll see if I manage to do it. I won't go into too much detail on this. I think I'll do that in a different episode, so this doesn't turn into a humongously long episode. But just shortly, the Musselburgh hat is pretty neat construction. You start out with a cast on in the round, in a construction where you can pull it tight so it's closed up here, and then you do in decreases. I get it mixed up. Decreases until you get to a point. There's cool measuring in the pattern, and then you go straight up until you get to the point where you do increases, and then you end up folding it in on itself. So one end is folded into the other, and then you can fold it up. So it's going to be a really warm hat. I had some trouble getting the sizing right. I'll share that in a different podcast at some point. But I'm hoping that this is getting to be the right size. And I'm hoping that it'll fit my daughter, because I think this color will be pretty neat on her and that she'll like it. So we'll see. So that's the plan. The last thing I want to share in this podcast is actually a project that I'm looking forward to trying out when we get to the new year. I shared on the last podcast. I have two work in progress that I want to finish up for myself. It's the Eva cardigan, and then it's the Sea View sweater. And I haven't been able to touch them at all, because I've just been concentrating on getting my gift knitting done. So I'm actually looking forward to quiet Christmas days where I can knit on my own stuff and just have that finished, because I feel like that's about time. But after that, I definitely have a plan, because my daughters are, for various reasons, pretty connected to a Danish fashion brand called Sax Puts. It's very, very cool clothing. They're unfortunately shutting down their business. They've been around for 10 years. It's really, really cool. I will link the website below, because if you want to snatch up one of their pieces, it's definitely now, because it's going to be gone in maybe, I don't know, sometime in the spring. They're closing down the whole thing. So anyways, they have a sweater that they call the Camilla sweater. It's a very simple sweater, and two of my daughters have one each, for different reasons. And one of them left left the sweater on here. I'll put in a picture of what it looks like. And it's cool. It's definitely the Scandinavian vibe. It's very large, got big, loose sleeves, ribbing, turtleneck. It's just a big, old, chunky sweater, you could say. And then when I looked at it closely, it's actually really, really simple. Almost, in my mind, maybe I'm turning into a knitting snob, almost too simple, because I think it kind of looks like one of the type of sweaters that I started out doing, where you knit from the bottom, you knit up, and then you knit the pieces, you sew them together, and that's it. And which is fine, no, nothing wrong with that. But the more you knit, the more I feel like I want to do the more complicated constructions, or elegant constructions, I would rather say, or finished constructions. So I started thinking how I could not replicate, because I don't think you should necessarily just copy paste stuff, but how could I take the idea of a relaxed, oversized, chunky knit sweater like that, and turn it into something, yeah, just elevate it a little bit with a more elegant pattern. And I know some people are, I don't know, I know that there's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of discussion in the knitting community about petite knit patterns. As a Scandinavian person myself, I can totally relate to why her patterns are so popular, because it's definitely the style that I am going for. A lot of my fellow Scandinavians, I think, so she hits it right on the nail. It's totally fine if you're not into that. I totally get it. And there are a lot of other great designers too. But for something like this, I think actually she has a bit, I feel like she has a perfect pattern, because what I found was the sweater she has, that's called Lyon Sweater Chunky Edition. It's in stripes, and I wouldn't do that for this particular one. But then again, just don't do stripes, do one color. That should be fine. But it has a more elegant shoulder construction that she often does on her pieces. It looks a little bit like the construction, I feel like, on the Eva sweater or Eva cardigan I'm doing. Just with a big drop shoulder. It's got the chunky turtleneck and all the stuff. So I feel like that could be just perfect. I'm going to experiment a little bit to see. It's got pretty wide cuffs, and I'm going to see if or large armholes. I'm going to see if it needs to be even bigger to match the style that the girls are going for. They don't like the tight ribbing down here. It needs to be large and oversized, and I think I can definitely accomplish that. So I've ordered yarn, and I actually decided not to go with very expensive yarn again, because I feel like every time I knit something for my kids, even though they're big and they tell me what they want, it's difficult when you're, I guess, if you're not a knitter, it's sometimes difficult to visualize what it's going to look like. I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what this will end up to be. Yeah, I feel pretty confident. But then again, I don't want to knit a sweater that's I don't know, several hundred euros in value, and then end up with a sweater they don't really like. So I opted for Drops Nepal yarn, which I feel like is the perfect gauge kind of. And she chose a dark gray, a little bit heathered color. I can't remember I haven't gotten the yarn yet, but I'll definitely show you when I start the project. I'm thinking of maybe I should document the whole process of knitting it if anybody is interested. But I feel like first of all, I want to try out that yarn, because I have another idea for a project that might be good. And my experience with Drops yarn is some of it I like a lot, some of it I really don't. So it's a little hit and miss. But she wanted yarn that it needed to be substantial enough to be thick enough for this project, but it also needed to be, defined stitches, but not too coarse. So, because actually Saxpot's sweater is a little bit scratchy. It's not the softest yarn. I think this yarn will be a little softer actually. I'm a little curious to see if it's too fluffy because it's you're trading off one ability with the other. It's difficult to get it really soft and not get the fluffiness from it, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be interesting to see. The Camilla sweater is 380 euros. And I think actually I'll be able to knit the version that I do, which is not the same thing, but different, just a more elegant pattern, I would say, for about 300 kroners, pretty much. About that, yeah, just about that price, which is kind of insane. So it's a very, and if you're not familiar, euros is almost the same as, it's not one-to-one to an American dollar, but it's definitely a much higher value than Danish kroners. So I think it's probably, it's like yeah, almost like a tenth. No, that's not true, but like I can't do the math in my head right now. If I get around to it, I'll show you on screen. But I think I'll go into it more. I won't go into a lot of details today, but when I get the yarn and start the project, I'll calculate the whole thing for you to see, because also there's a pattern and all this stuff. So to be fair, it's gonna of course be a much cheaper sweater. It's not gonna be the same. But I think it's gonna potentially turn into a really nice sweater. So pretty excited about that. But then again, that's gonna be after, at least after I've finished the Eva cardigan, because I might start it up on the side of doing the sea view sweater with the cabling, because I feel like when you do a lot of cabling, it's actually nice to get a break with something that's just stuck in it. And that's what the Lyon sweater is. Once you've done the top part and you join it in the round, it's just going to be smooth sailing. And I feel like a pretty big needle size, it's going to be a pretty quick knit, I feel like. So excited about that. It's going to be a fun project, I feel like. So that's, I'm just checking my notes to see if I forgot anything. I think that's about it, and I will just leave you with my wishes for you and your family for happy holidays if you celebrate Christmas, happy time off if you don't, happy whatever a celebration that you're having, a happy new year. I don't think I'll be able to, well, maybe I'll film a video around New Year's. We'll see how it goes. It's depending a little bit on my progress on the knitting and whatever else is going on. But thank you so much for a warm welcome to the knitting vlogging community. I'm happy about it. And again, if there's something you want me to go into more, the Copenhagen stuff, if you're interested in that. I mean, I live in the middle of it, so let me know if there's stuff you're interested in. I'll be happy to do a video answering some of your questions if you have any. So that's it. See you in the next episode. Take care.